So the theme for today is the journey through our feelings. Course in Miracles says that we have two emotions, in truth. It's fear and love. Fear has many forms, and it comprises all the different fears that we have. I was looking at a list I found on Google yesterday. There must have been 100 different ego feelings in that list. So we have many different ways of being afraid, actually. So fear and love, you could say the journey through our feelings is from the feeling of fear to the feeling of love. It's that simple. And doing the forgiveness process, the looking gently at our feelings, giving it up to Spirit, asking Spirit to help see this peacefully. And then the journey begins. And it's many steps on this journey as you're beginning to experience. And many things happen with our feelings along the way. Many of us start being very suppressed, like I was at the beginning of this journey. I couldn't even feel anger when I started this journey. I can feel it now. Be warned, I can feel it. Took me quite some time of rebirthing and feeling safe before I could remember how anger felt like, actually. You see, all our feelings, many of our feelings are hidden, and they sit there as a block in our backpack, and we need to bring our feelings up to the surface so that we can do the forgiveness process with them. We have to look at all our ego feelings before they start to fade away and disappear. And then what is left is our natural state, which is love. We don't really have to work with that. We have to remove the blocks so that our natural state can rise up. So I have a few questions that I would like to put to you to make this more interactive. Who can just name a few of the most obvious ego feelings? Feelings that come from separation or come from fear?
Jealousy.
Jealousy, absolutely, yeah. What other? Disgust, yeah. Sadness, yeah, big one.
He's lonely.
Loneliness, yes, very big one. Okay.
Hopelessness.
Hopelessness, yeah.
Despair.
Despair.
Desperation.
Yeah. And on we can go. Right. Which feelings come from our right mind, from love, or from Spirit?
Gratitude.
Gratitude, yeah.
Connectedness.
Feeling connected.
Deep compassion.
Compassion, yeah.
Feeling safe.
Yeah.
Being creative.
Being
Creative.
creative, yeah.
Creativeness.
Feeling joy. Feeling peace. Come from the right mind. Anyway, just to get a quick overview. Now, we've been looking at the purpose of the ego over the last 3 months. So let's recap. What is the purpose of the ego?
Keep us separate.
To keep us separate. And how does it do that?
Through projection. Projecting.
Mainly through projection. Projecting our guilt onto anything out there. Thinking that the cause of our uncomfortable feelings is out there. Either from my own body, which is kind of out there, or from any other body or situation or thing out there causing me to feel uncomfortable. So if that's the purpose of the ego, I'm going to ask a question that maybe you've never asked yourself before, and maybe it's never asked in the world, or hardly ever. What is the purpose of our ego feelings?
To protect.
Who spoke? Yeah.
To protect us.
To project us.
Protect.
Protect us. Interesting. As in defense?
Defense.
Okay, to defend ourselves, yeah. So what is the purpose of our ego feelings?
To keep the illusion alive.
To keep the illusion alive, yes.
Separation.
To keep the separation intact, yes. Now the truth is, and this is where the Course in Miracles is so brilliant, like what is it for? Our ego feelings have the same purpose as the ego itself. To keep us distracted, to keep us looping, and to keep the cause of our feeling separate out there. So if you do something, let's say you reject me, I will feel rejected or lonely, desperate or whatever. And it looks like it's caused out there. This is the purpose of feelings, to keep the cause away from the real cause, which is my mind. It is possible for us to get to a state where we don't have any ego feelings anymore, we only have love. Recap on the 3 steps of forgiveness. The first step is, I'm doing this unto myself. Yeah. Completely. I mean, we are set up. It's a setup to make it look like the cause is out there. Even our bodily sensations. If I touch you, my mind says something out there is making this feel. And if I look out there, my mind says your presence waving at me is making me see. And the Course says that's not true. That the eyes do not see. My ears do not hear. My body does not feel. This is a big thing for us to start to get. That it's all feeling is made by the mind. And it's a setup to make it look like the cause is out there. This is the major part of our dream, is we think the cause is out there. The way to get back to peace is to bring the cause back to the mind, our mind. I'm doing this unto myself. This single lesson learned will set me free of all suffering. One lesson. I'm doing this to myself. Everything. But it can take lifetimes to really get it. I got it intellectually. But if you say something, I can still feel the feeling of hurt or judgment or loneliness occasionally. And then I have to remember, no, this is my mind doing this to myself. So, what is the purpose of right-minded feelings, spirit's feelings? What are they for? What's the purpose of peace? Joy.
Unity. Unity.
Unity?
Yeah.
Yeah. To remind us of oneness. Yeah. To remind us of connection. So just to recap what we've looked at so far. The Course in Miracles tells us we have just 2 emotions, fear and love. All feelings like anger, sadness and loneliness and jealousy come from fear. Feelings of joy, peace and happiness come from love. The journey through our feelings is the journey from fear or ego to love or spirit. The journey is about looking gently at all our ego feelings and giving them up to spirit to be healed, so that we can experience our natural state of love and peace. Many of our ego feelings are deeply hidden in the unconscious and in the body and need to be brought to the surface. The breath is a key to feelings. Breathwork can help bring our repressed feelings up to the surface so that they can be looked at and healed. Breath and a little willingness can inspire a miracle. And what is a miracle?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness, yeah.
Change of mind.
A change of mind, a shift in perception. Exactly. So what are feelings for? The ego uses feelings like fear, anger, loneliness, sadness, etc. to give us the experience of separation and to keep us distracted, mindless, and rooted in the body. It's a setup to make it look like the cause of these feelings is external, even though we are in fact fully responsible for them. Spirit, on the other hand, uses feelings of love, peace, joy, and happiness to give us experience of connection with Source. So the next question I have for you is, how can we use our feelings to guide us? Well, perhaps to give you a little entree, we are being guided all the time by one of two voices, either the ego or spirit in our right mind. So what do our ego feelings show us? Our ego feelings show us that we are off track in our thinking. So the ego always tries to convince us what we need to do or get to satisfy or get rid of the feeling. So let me give you an example. If I'm feeling lonely, the ego will convince me that I will feel better if I get on the phone and meet someone for coffee in town or something. So it tries to convince me what I need to do or get. It may be something I need to, like a new computer or something, then I'll feel satisfied. But this guidance is always based on the past and often leads us in the wrong direction. Seek and do not find, as it says in the Course. If we get an ego need satisfied, it's always a temporary fix. That doesn't mean we don't phone someone up and say, let's meet up for coffee. It doesn't mean that. But just to be aware that you're trying to get rid of a feeling of loneliness by filling it up with something. Just to be aware of it. Because eventually you won't need to do that at all. You can just be on your own and feel not lonely, eventually. So if we get an ego need satisfied, it's a temporary fix. Decisions made with the ego usually feel wrong. This is how we can use it for guidance. If you make a decision about buying an apartment or something, and after a couple of days, it feels wrong. Right? That means it's because it's based on some ego decision. Feelings of love and joy always tell us that we're on the right track, that our thinking is right-minded. So if you make a decision or act in a certain way and you just feel peaceful and loving and quiet inside, it's probably a right-minded choice. When we are in our right mind listening to Spirit, we simply know what to do and what not to do in any situation. This is why decision making, really the best thing we can do for decision making is to get still. It takes practice. But the more still you are, the more you will simply know, even on this level, even on the worldly illusionary level, you will simply know what's most appropriate for the bigger picture, what's most helpful for you and everyone around you. So any decisions we make from the right mind will just simply feel right over time, over the next hours, days, whatever. It doesn't doesn't change. On the bottom rungs of the ladder, it's good to honor our ego feelings until we become a fairly balanced sense of self before we can let that self go. And so it's good to phone someone up and say, I just need to be with somebody. Because at that moment, you're not at a stage where you can really connect with Source and feel the rays, the great rays from Source. Right? But it's also, the other side of the coin is, if you just feel joyfully, I'd like to hang out with somebody, not from a sense of need, but from a sense of joy, that's another reason for phoning someone. So let's go play. Right? So there are different reasons why we phone friends. Yeah. Do we need to go through all our uncomfortable feelings? Mm-hmm. Do we need to feel like if we felt, let's say, rejected by your parents? Let's say you weren't wanted by your parents and you grew up with this feeling of not being wanted. Maybe you can't even remember where it came from because you were so young, but you felt it on some level. Do we need to feel that feeling of not being wanted to heal it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we do. I think we do. I've noticed with my own journey that when you're working with a particular feeling, that a particular pattern that you've chosen this lifetime, that keeps showing up, and sometimes it looks like it's beginning to fade away, and when it does get activated, it doesn't seem to last so long, and then suddenly you get like a real spike, like a healing crisis kind of spike, where you like feel like, say, loneliness, for example, like someone is using an electric on your body, but has loneliness coming down the cables, you know. And when I've noticed that happening, it's almost like one of the last bits of this healing, because after that it's like, it's gone, more or less gone. So my feeling is that we have to look at the bottom of it. We have to bring it all out. My experience is going through the feelings seems to work, but it can get feelings occasionally that it looks like it's getting worse. But if you look more carefully, you'll see that the time you're in it is much shorter. Like a feeling of exclusion, I could be in it for months, literally. Now if I'm in it, it's more like 3 or 4 seconds. Right? It can still show up. As soon as while we're in the lonely feeling, and we're just feeling it, how can I get rid of it, whatever. As soon as possible, and this is why we keep practicing over and over, this as soon as possible will get shorter and shorter until you're actually doing it almost in the moment. Rising above it and just simply, there I go, feeling lonely. I'm willing to see this differently. I'm willing to have the miracle occur in my mind. I can't make the miracle occur. Spirit does that. All I have to do is stand above it and look, there I go, feeling lonely. I'm willing to see this differently. Hand it over to Spirit.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's I'm not getting to the feelings because I'm already thinking. There I go again. I'm looking gently at it. So the feeling is not coming up.
This is where
Quit smoking. See what happens.
yes.
Yeah.
No, we spoke about this in the break. Yeah, seriously. Smoking will keep the emotion of it down. That's why we smoke. when we suppress it with nicotine or whatever, we keep probably, it's a bit like an iceberg, you know, 4/5 of it are underneath, right? And that's where a lot of the emotion is kept hidden underwater. And this is what cigarettes will do. Okay, you'll still get in touch with it, but it won't be the full explosion of feeling. But again, do it at a rate that you can handle, and maybe cut it down to 5 a day for a while, and then when you're ready. Giving up cigarettes is not an easy thing. I've done it, but it took quite a while. I did it with help. So do we need to go through all our uncomfortable feelings? Yes, this is what I believe. In order to go back up the ladder that we went down, we have to retrace our steps. We have to undo what we've done, you could say. In order to go back up the ladder we went down unritualistically in our journey of separation from Source, it is imperative that we look at all the beliefs, thoughts, and feelings of separation that we have constructed and hidden in the unconscious. It is very helpful to allow any feeling that comes up to be fully felt and without judgment. We just welcome it as a messenger with a message for us. We can then begin to look at the belief that activated the feeling. Sometimes you can feel something and not really know what it is. We may have to look at our uncomfortable feelings many times. With practice, the length of time we stay in the uncomfortable feelings will start to lessen, even though they may feel more intense at times, especially near the end. Eventually, these feelings will fade and disappear. What do we do with our anger? What do you do with your anger?
If it's a small anger, I'm trying to express it to the right person, and if it's a big anger, I bottle it up and then go directly into denial, and then into feeling wrong, and then at some point I realize what I'm doing and release it.
Repression or full expression are the ways we usually deal with our anger in the world, apparently. We either repress it or we go out and, attack the other with it fully. The ego, of course, loves both of these extremes because the true problem, the underlying guilt and fear, remains hidden. So when you're actually being angry and blaming the other or hitting the other, whatever, the underlying guilt just stays there. We think the cause is that person or whatever. We go and attack them, and you feel okay for a moment, but not for very long. It is essential we do not deny our anger, because that can make you sick. Sometimes it will even burst out. I mean, I've suddenly snapped at Mariana. It came out so fast that I didn't even know it was coming. Right? Where was I? Sometimes it will even burst out because of internal pressure. If we cannot contain it, it's best to express it in a way that implies that we are responsible for it, but at the moment cannot help how we feel. Right? So I could, express it to you and say, look, I know this is my stuff, but I really get pissed when you do this, or whatever, That way minimizes the guilt and demonstrates the willingness to allow spirit to take our guilt away. If I'm willing to take responsibility, even at the moment I'm so full of the energy of it, I need to somehow do something with it. This one minimizes the guilt and demonstrates the willingness to allow spirit to take away our guilt altogether over time.